So, welcome, welcome, welcome. For those of you that are joining the call, yes, I see Maddie Brown put in where she's joining in from. Please let us know where you're joining in from. That's always fun. It's always fun to see random things and people all of a sudden being like France, Canada. It's like, okay, I'm loving this. Kenya. So please put in there where you're joining in from. I am physically in Alabama. Not that that's where I'm from. I tell you. Dr. Esther, if somebody would have told me 20 years ago that I'd be sitting up in Huntsville, Alabama, I said, whatever, get out of here. Y'all don't know me. That is not where I would have been. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Been here for
Hey,
20 years. So clearly,
something
it's
grew on you in Alabama. So, okay.
right. So here I am, living my best life, loving it. And so definitely share where you are. And so, since we don't want to hold the time up too much and people are going to keep coming in, I am Dr. Tiffany Marie. I'm a physician, board certified in family and lifestyle medicine. For family medicine, I did that for 20 years. Private practice, and aesthetic practice, urgent care. What else I do? Telemedicine for the last 4 or 5 years. And I was helping people across 48 states. And you know what I saw? We are all struggling. Doesn't matter what state you're in. And then, shoot, last month I was in Honduras. You know, they're still struggling with diabetes. They're still getting amputations. They're still having glaucoma. They're still having cataracts. The reality is, this isn't a U.S. problem. This isn't an Alabama problem. This isn't a Texas problem. This is an everybody problem.
Mhm.
And so we have too many people struggling that I woke up one day and I was like, okay, look, it's got to be something else. I'm so tired of seeing so many people need all these meds. I'm so tired of people needing having all these things for side effects. I'm so tired of people just not enjoying their life and not feeling healthy. There's got to be something else. I got board certified in lifestyle medicine, and that's about going after the root causes of conditions to learn more, right? To be able to tackle things without throwing meds first. And I started leaning into that, but what I saw, people needed something to help them with consistency. People needed something to help them with sustainability. Me just talking to them and seeing them every 3 months, that wasn't hitting it. They were coming back. Oh, I had a birthday party. I had some cake. And then you know what? I had the whole package of cookies. I had the whole bag of chips. That's what started to happen. And so, okay, I said, okay, wait a minute. I need something. So I started getting board certified, not certified, but my board certified in metabolic health under Dr. Ben Bickman to be able to be a metabolic health coach. They needed more training, more time.
Mm.
And I got connected with Anne Marie, who said, you know what, you should check out these products. An engineer who I was thinking, what do you know? I'm a doctor. This is what I do all my life. You're just an engineer. You know, yeah, you smart, but you don't know my stuff. No, clearly I had to learn a lot from that lady. So I've decided, okay, look, it's not just about, me being a doctor. It's not just about an engineer or being a stay-at-home mom. It's about the heart for helping people. And I had a heart to help people. Anne Marie helped me see these natural products, and I have been changing lives ever since. Hundreds on my own, thousands by
Mhm.
extension. And I got to meet this lovely lady over here, Dr. Esther, who's glowing, living her best life, looking fabulous. I tell you, tea works. We about to spill the tea on that tea. It works. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you tell your story, lady.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany. Thank you. Thank you for everyone that's joining us. Welcome. And just like Dr. Tiffany, I am a board certified family medicine physician based out of Houston, Texas. Uh,
You
what?
know, yeah, you smart, but you don't know my.
Sorry.
Oh, can you all hear me? Okay. So one of the things that, as Dr. Tiffany said, you practice medicine and you get used to doing the same thing. People come to you, you know where they're heading if something doesn't change, and you try and tell them, do this lifestyle changes and everything. And well, if they stick with you 3 years later, they're still, they're actually worse. And now you have a diagnosis. And then what modern medicine teaches us is to give them the starter pack, your blood pressure medicine or your pre-diabetes medicine or your diabetes medicine or your cholesterol medicine. And it just starts there and it doesn't get better. It just keeps getting worse
Mhm.
and worse. And before you know it, what started as just regular checkups without any medication, soon it's visits trying to titrate 5 medications, 10 medications, 15 medications. And, I'd have been cruising along, just keeping on doing that and thinking, well, this is it. But it got sobering when I finally got to a point, and there was this realization that something needed to change for me personally, because I realized that I didn't want to end up, I could see what was happening, that I was beginning to start the journey towards those diagnoses that I was so scared of, because I could see where they led to. And with a family history of diabetes and a stroke in my dad later on, somehow in the back of my mind, I knew something was off. And I took my own advice, everything that I did, everything that I told my patients to do, but it wasn't working. It wasn't working, or it would work for a certain amount of time. And it was so tedious. I was not a happy person doing that stuff, because I'm just like, oh my gosh, okay, I can do this for even 3 months, but I can't sustain it because it's making me miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just became like an up and down, up and down. And I'm sure many of us here have probably had that. And if you have, please put that in the chat. If before you found this, or if you're currently going through this, you've had the ups and downs. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I found something that works. But 2 months later, well, you backslid because it wasn't working. I mean, it was working, but you couldn't sustain it. Until last year in January, I had Dr. Tiffany talk, and I said, how did she know about me? Because she was talking about me. She was talking about all my struggles. And I was just like, whatever she's talking about, I need to hear more. Well, I have the scientist brain, and I'm like, yeah, some more snake oil that they're selling, and but then I was like, how is a board certified family medicine physician putting herself out there in public and talking about this stuff? And so that was my curiosity, like, really? Can you really be doing that? So when I asked for a meeting with Dr. Tiffany, it was more like to see, what is she really about? Like, but, she confirmed that, yes, this really works. And I was like, what do I have to lose? And so I jumped right in. And let's just say, right from day one, energy. Within a few months, this glowing face that everybody's been talking about, that was there, and it has stayed there. And someday I'll put up my picture from the day before, January 29th, January 28th, the day before I started, because I started this protocol on January 29th, and what the difference in my face. And because when I looked at that, I could not believe that that's me. They're like two totally different people. It's just that some features still look similar, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's her. But no, they actually look totally different. But beyond that, all the other great things that have happened, my health, everything else, the numbers, those things that we look at. But now it's just not a matter of controlling them. They're actually right, stemming from the inside. There's no medication involved. And I'm feeling great doing this. And I mean, I said January 29th. We are now almost at the end of June, and I'm still doing this, and it does not feel like work. I know I can sustain this, and the results have not been yo-yoing. It's, it just keeps getting better. You learn, and there's a lot of learning and just how our bodies work. And that's why I'm here with Dr. Tiffany, because there are many who are where we were. And we need to spread this. And I can tell you this, as physicians, none of us likes to take work home. I was one of those physicians. I'm like, please don't be asking me telling me about your diabetes or your belly pain or whatever at a wedding or at a party or I don't know what. Just please don't. Because it was just a lot of work and it was tedious. But now I'm itching, like, ask me. Yeah, when you have diabetes, because no, I finally have an answer. I have an answer for you. I have something that does not require us to be in the office.
Yeah.
For me to write a prescription, I have something that I can just tell you as a fellow person who's using this, even with take the physician label off. I can tell you about something that I have used and it's working. And now I'm like, yeah, bring on the work at a wedding. Well, yeah, well, we'll talk about it during the reception, but that's the kind of joy that we have talking about this. So yeah, and without further ado, I will have one of our guests today. I will have Suzanne go first today. Suzanne, she has an amazing story. She's been on this protocol for less than a year. And she
Mhm.
has such amazing results. And, when you combine her and her husband, their results, they could write a book. But today we'll hear from Suzanne, and one of these days we'll hear from Richard, her husband. But we'll have Suzanne go first. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Esther. Um, Hello, everybody. And for those, a lot of you that don't know me, my name is Suzanne. I'm a registered nurse for about 35 years. Okay. So that's a long years of history of taking care of patients. So, like many other healthcare professionals, we are so busy helping others while putting my health on the back burner. So, 13 years ago, I was diagnosed of cancer, and I was on chemotherapy for a long time, almost about 9 months or something. And then so that led me to menopause. So chemotherapy put me in menopause, and that started all my other symptoms. I didn't know at that time what those are. I thought I'm just aging, and my body is, I'm experiencing the wear and tear of my nursing career. And so so that led me to like body pain, weight gain, until as the years go by, my weight gain is unstoppable. Seems like, I tried to do a lot of things. I was desperate to one point because I'm having symptoms, although all my labs are showing normal. Okay, my doctor would say, you're normal. I mean, what are you? She probably thought I'm psychosomatic already, because I know that something is wrong. And still she said, oh, your A1C, you're not diabetic. She would always tell me that. But my A1C would be 5.6, 5.4. And then I would have hypoglycemia, 88 blood sugar, and I'm shaking already. I said, what is wrong? I said, no, nothing's wrong with you, Suzanne. So she would say that. And then, but then again, deep inside, you know that something's wrong. I started having a little bit of tingling in my chest, and I'm a cardiology nurse for 16 years, and they couldn't find anything with we did stress echo, we did all those, nothing was showing. And then also, there's a lot of things that I'm feeling that's not normal. My pain in the belly. I would exaggerate going to my doctor and say, this is really painful, da 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 da, all that. And then she would say, okay, you're not very consistent with your story. But I would exaggerate it just so that they would do tests, right? So one time, they did a CT scan. They found my liver. They found multiple cysts in my liver. And being a cancer patient, they thought that's like, okay, let's check if it's, it has come back. And so they did check, and it was, to make it short, the story short, it was fatty liver. But I'm also very glad that we found it by accident, uh, because if it didn't, I would resort into MASH or NASH, non-alcoholic liver cirrhosis, which is, I'm seeing more and more patients having pancreatic problems. In fact, two of our nurses uh, this year died of pancreatic cancer. And I'm seeing that the common denominator is really diabetic. They're diabetic patients, right? Also, being a cardiology nurse for 16 years, I I see patients like, oh my God, they would come with chest pain and all this stuff, and everything's normal, right? And then I look at their history, and they're all mostly insulin resistant or diabetics. And then on the other side, because I'm always multitasking, I think I'm undiagnosed ADHD. So I do, I also am a vascular nurse. So I see these veins of patient, and I could see like these veins are really not healthy. And the common denominator again is diabetes. So I'm scared for myself, right? No, I'm aging. I'm getting all these symptoms that the doctor says, no, you're okay, you're fine. So anyway, the weight gain was the most that I was very concerned of, because I started having shortness of breath and all that stuff. So my coworker, Alexa, came in, and she introduced me the product, and I just trusted it because I don't know, I was going to have injection, the Ozempic, but then I was willing to pay out of pocket. That's how desperate I was to lose weight. However, so she was God sent to me, and so I did try the product. I trusted the system. I thought it's gonna be slow because it's natural, but then the first day, I had more energy. Brain fog's gone. My pain, I have a lot of pain from the wear and tear, I said, of the 35 years of nursing. It was less painful. And then I didn't see really much weight loss until after 3 months. I think the 90 days is the magic days, because that's when I start seeing, like, oh my God, I'm losing weight, and my pants is getting loose. I'm able to wear my pants that I've never worn over 10 years. And recently I had my labs test. The fatty liver is gone. I mean, my ALT liver marker is back to really low, like normal low, And then my cardiac markers, which I'm so glad, I insisted on having, okay, am I still there? Okay. I
Yes, you
insist
are. I'm
I
just
insist
showing your pictures.
Oh, okay. I insisted on having my lipo A test, and my doctor said, "What do you need this for, Suzanne? These are lab tests that you will not no amount of exercise or diet will lower this down, because my lipo A was high. So meaning I have the genes for the cardiac risk, right? And so I told her, doc, I know I cannot control that, but I can control something else, like my lifestyle and stuff, that I could do that, because I don't want to, have the same fate like my ancestors. So that was a good thing that I did. And this metabolic product has helped me so much. I will never be out of
Hello?
this. I mean, hello?
Sorry.
You still hear me? Okay, so this is
Yes.
so with that product, moving forward, I'm on this product for 10 months. My blood pressure is good. I'm not taking any more medications. My fatty liver is reversing. I mean, I think it's normal now with all my lab tests being so great. I don't have chest tingling. My neuropathy is still there, but I'm hoping that through time it will get a lot better. My brain fog is still, it's improving, okay, but it's getting there. Feeling tired, I have so much energy, really. Had no energy like this in the last, I think I remember, in my 20s. So and body pain is improved. I don't have cravings, and everything was really good on this product. I cannot stop talking about this product because it has given me more, it has given me back my life, really, truly. I when I started sharing this to my coworkers, it inspires me, because their arthritis from I have a coworker that is on cane for 3 years, and now it gave her this product gave her her life back. And so it's really amazing for such a simple product.
Thank you so much, Suzanne. I mean, I just wanted to point out here, and I'll just go back for those who didn't see, that was Suzanne before she started the protocol, and look at her now, looking younger, svelte. Then these are her labs. You can just see the sharp drop in her triglycerides from October last year, and then now in May. Then you can see, from 146 down to 75. That's almost, cut in half. Her AST, has also gone down. And I thought I wanted to put the ALT, but both her AST and her ALT have significantly dropped. So we know that her fatty liver is getting better. Yeah, these are the stories that we hear every day. And keep saying, who's going to be next? So
Yeah, my ALT, I think, was 146, dropped to 19. Very significant drop.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
that's awesome. Yes. And what's cute is you see the after pictures, she's like really posing then. Even Richard's like,
I
yes.
never I
Richard in
never
the
really
comments.
pose, okay, but then I think I have to sell my story.
I love it. I love it. That's the quality of life stuff. I mean, I'm joking, but that makes a difference, right? And so even Richard, your hubby in the comments, sending you kissy faces. That's important. We're saving marriages. We're saving people's idea of what they think of themselves and their health. I mean, this is big stuff. So thank you so much, Suzanne. I love your story. So
Thank
happy
you.
that you shared with us. So
Thank you
happy.
so much.
okay. Now we'll let Dr. Tiffany tell us why are these products working, Dr. Tiffany? Why don't you give us some background?
All right. I guess I will. I guess it's about time for the science part of this, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, one, a lot of people immediately think, oh, this is just about sugars, this is just about diabetes. But what we'd like to talk about on this call is that, there's so much happening beyond the A1C, spotting missed insulin resistance and trying to dive deeper into that. So, well, let's talk about the symptoms. What are the symptoms of insulin resistance? So, insulin resistance is at the root of all of these things that so many people are struggling for. So, for some of you coming on this call, we've had a couple weeks where Dr. Esther was like leading the charge because I was trying to travel the world to realize, yeah, we're struggling in different countries. In Honduras, people are losing their feet, they're losing their vision, right? Diabetes, cancer, polycystic ovarian syndrome, which has now been renamed PMOS, which is polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. So they've actually incorporated the fact that metabolic disease is actually behind the number one cause of infertility amongst women. Fatty liver, that Suzanne was talking about, heart disease, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, migraines. All these things are circling around insulin resistance, and so many symptoms. If you look at that list on the right, I mean, there's not too many things missing. Sleep apnea, frequent urination. I mean, everything's on that list. So many people are like, well, maybe that is me. Well, yeah, we had a study in 2022 that showed that only 7% of Americans were actually metabolically healthy, which meant 93% of people were struggling. Yeah. And so just because you have a normal A1C does not mean you're at low risk. And so unfortunately, most people are just looking at that A1C. Most people are just waiting until that A1C is in the pre-diabetes or diabetes range. So pre-diabetes starts at 5.7. Diabetes starts at 6.5. But under 5.7 doesn't mean you're free, doesn't mean you're safe. 4.8 to 5.0 is actually the place to where you have the lowest risk for heart disease and all these complications we're talking about, stroke, okay? And then at 5.1 to 5.4, that's when the risk starts ticking up. 5.5 to 5.6, this is usually when your doctors are like, okay, we got to do something. Have you thought about metformin? Sometimes they're even suggesting metformin right here, okay, because your risk has increased. And then once you get into the 5.7 range, the pre-diabetes, most doctors are already trying to start you on medications, okay, because a lot of them have lost hope in the lifestyle changes. And so how do we get here? How do we get here? Well, frequent refined carbs. So it's not just the calories, it's the type of calories. It is what you're eating. And it's not just carbohydrates, it's the refined carbohydrates that are really getting us. And when I say refined, I'm talking about, let me go back a little bit. I'm talking about those processed foods. I'm talking about that stuff in the middle aisles of the grocery store. I'm talking about the chips, the cookies, the crackers, all the stuff in a box that's bagged. Okay. Okay. Those things are not for us. They are not serving us. They spike our insulin because they spike our glucose very quickly. And then if you keep going on doing this every couple hours, because pretty much you followed the old food pyramid that had you eating carbs every 2 hours. I mean, me as a physician, I told my patients, you need to fuel your body. That's what you need. You need the gas in the car. And what were they fueling their body with? Carbohydrates. And when you do that every couple of hours, you're just keeping that insulin level high. And then on top of that, it kicks up your dopamine. So now you're like really starting to become dependent on those sugars because it makes you feel good. And some people have developed a sugar addiction. But this cycle contributes to high insulin over time. And that high insulin leads to chronic insulin release. And so now your cells are not responding to insulin as well as they need to. And as a result, the insulin is released in the bloodstream, is all floating around in the bloodstream, causing all types of havoc, going to the ovaries, messing up the whole hormonal distribution, leading to things like PCOS, now PMOS. Now you have women with infertility issues because their insulin is too high. Then it goes to the blood vessels, messing with the blood vessels, causing the blood vessels to not actually causing inflammation of the blood vessels, causing your kidneys to hold on to sodium. Now your blood pressure's high just because your insulin is high. And it goes on and on and on. And then, of course, when insulin is high, it starts to make your fat cells hold on to what you're eating. So you have your girlfriends. You know, I have women on the call, and I probably have some men who understand this too. You have your people that you go out with, and they can eat the world. They eat the whole table. You know, they have all the French fries. They have everything, but they never gain that weight because they're not dealing with insulin resistance. Yeah, they keep eating like that, they will. But if you try to eat that stuff, it's as if as soon as you put it on your mouth, now it gets stored to your belly. Anybody else understand that? I used to remember that. Now in my 20s, I didn't have that problem. But come 30s, 40s, yeah, that problem was a real issue because my insulin was climbing up. And now it is storing what we're eating, regardless of what it is, into those fat cells, okay? And those poor fat cells start to actually release anti-inflammatory, well, actually inflammatory issues. So that's where you start to give other issues too. You get the swelling, all because of the food you're eating. Now, it's not a willpower problem. It's really the whirl of the hormones, the insulin, okay? That's the big issue. If we get down the insulin, we can decrease that fat storage. The reality is you don't have to wait at all. Insulin resistance can be reversible when we start doing things like increasing our fiber. Fiber alone allows our bodies not to have that glucose spike and thus that insulin spike. So now we don't store things immediately. It allows our gut to heal. So now we can break down foods like we need to. You have people who are not addicted, people who have allergies to certain foods, or they have different problems or malabsorption to different nutrients, iron, magnesium. Most of the time, that's because your gut's not working well. When we start healing our gut, we start to see people respond better. We start to see people improve their autoimmune conditions because their gut is actually starting to heal. So when you start tackling these things, we start seeing a total reversal in these metabolic health disorders. So you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till your A1C is high. You don't have to wait until you're feeling miserable. When your labs are normal and you're not feeling quite right, there is something off. Trust that instinct and start making these changes. Great thing is we have a tool that helps us be able to do this and be consistent and be sustainable. And so we're going to actually talk about what these tools are when Dr. Esther comes back on. But having something that makes it easier to make these changes makes all the difference. Now, Dr. Esther, did we want to bring in Bertine now, or are you going to do that after you talk about these tools I'm talking about?
Let me talk about the tools and then bring in Bertine. Okay. Okay. So Dr. Tiffany talked about these tools, and, you know, I like the way she likes to call it bringing a knife to the fist fight, and it sure is. So this is the Feel Great system. And so the Feel Great system is the products. When we combine this with the time-restricted eating, then we have a protocol. So product and the practice of time-based eating. 2 food-based products, which, you know, they go by the name nutraceuticals to differentiate them from pharmaceuticals because there are no drugs in this. Remember we said we would rather not write prescriptions? So this is a nutraceutical, not a pharmaceutical. And they form this simple and sustainable protocol. You've had everybody say that this has been the simplest thing they've been able to do, and they've sustained their results. It's not one of those gimmicks that you do, a program, a diet that lasts 90 days, and then you're back where you were before, probably even worse. No, this is not it. The 2 products, the first one is called Unimate. It is a super concentrated tea made from the yerba mate plant. You know, it's funny that we are doing this during the Soccer World Cup. And one of the things I like to point out is last World Cup when Argentina won, one of the things they did say was that the Argentinian team carried over 1,100 tons of yerba mate tea to the World Cup. It was in Qatar the last World Cup. Now, and they could be seen sipping it everywhere. It's the yerba mate plant. The tea is something that is done, continually in South America. They've always drunk it. But you've got to wonder, why did a soccer team from one continent across oceans and other continents carry yerba mate tea? And they brought their own. They want to go drink that yerba mate tea from the gas station. No, they brought the real thing. So what is special about this yerba mate, and why did we in this company go ahead and super concentrate it? So the yerba mate plant is known to have antioxidant properties. The flavonoids in there do help a lot with relieving inflammation. When you super concentrate it, it actually helps you not feel hungry, and it curbs your hunger cravings. And it does that by promoting the production of GLP-1 in your intestines. Now, I'm sure you're like, whoa, GLP-1 in my intestines? It doesn't just come in a shot in a box. No, what these companies that make the GLP-1 shots have done is basically they've taken something that we already produce in our bodies. Think the same thing, insulin. We already produce insulin in our bodies, but yeah, some people need insulin as a medication if they failed producing it. Now, I don't think anyone has failed, like completely cannot produce GLP-1. We've blunted its production. And here you have something that actually it boosts that production by 67 to 70%. And that promotes your satiety. It makes you not crave things, particularly those sugary things. And that's what makes the art of fasting easier. Because sometimes when you tell people, okay, you need to go for even 12 hours without food, they're like, wait, what? Well, here is something that will make you forget about food. I mean, there are times I have to actually look at the clock and say, well, I guess I should eat if I'm going to get any nutrition today, because you don't feel hungry at all. So it supports feelings of well-being. You actually feel great. This is where this comes from. You feel great while you're doing it. You're not miserable doing this protocol. It gives you good energy. That's one thing. You also had Suzanne say, I had the energy. Everybody just has a lot of energy. You're able to get to all your errands, all the activities you need to do. It supports endurance and stamina for people who are athletes. If you're trying to train, it helps with faster recovery, again, because of reduction in inflammation. So even for you athletes, if you're a marathon runner or whatever it is that you do, this will help with recovery. It also supports fat burning. It actually boosts your fat burning. So when you're fasting, what are you doing? You're not relying on glucose for energy. You're relying on what is stored, usually in the form of fat. So your body is already trying to tap into the fat stores. And then you have something that actually boosts that fat burning. So you have double activity there, that the body needs to tap into the fat. And then here's something that actually accelerates that. So it helps with doing that. And when you burn fat, you produce ketones. Now, guess what loves ketones? Your brain would rather have ketones as an energy source than keep utilizing glucose. So your brain gets very happy. And that's part of the things that you hear. People feel more, the brain.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Okay, people feel more alert. They have mental clarity, all because of what this product does. Now, and of course, all these things will support your weight management efforts. If you're able to fast longer, if you're producing more GLP-1, if you're burning fat, if you're having more stamina and endurance, these are all things that will lead to you losing weight. So this is really just something that you add, and it helps accentuate everything that you're already doing. I will go back to how we take it. The other product is the balance. Balance is a blend of 7 different fibers. Now, we always tell people you need to take at least 30 different types of fibers every week. I don't know. Put it in the chat if you're able to meet that every week. I know I can't. 30 different types of fibers every week, you know? So what this what this balance has is 7 different blends of fibers, and it also has multivitamins added to it. What does it do? When you take it, it makes you feel full, and you stay fuller longer because it reduces the speed at which food passes through your gut. So you don't feel hungry quicker, and therefore you're able to curb your appetite between meals. It also reduces how fast and how high the glucose goes up when you eat. And that's the spike we're trying to reduce. And it's been studied by the home of the glycemic index, that's the University of Sydney, and they found that it actually reduces that spike by up to 40%. So if you're reducing the spike of glucose by up to 40%, guess what you're also reducing the spike of? Insulin. And we've said what we're trying to do is to curb the hyperproduction of insulin. So if you can just start right at eating, that your insulin is not going to go as high as it would have gone without this fiber, then you're already steps ahead in winning this game. It reduces how much dietary cholesterol is absorbed into the bloodstream. And all these things help support normal cholesterol and normal glucose levels. It's been studied by the Cleveland Clinic, where we know, a leading researcher and leading clinic when it comes to cardiovascular disease. And I'll quote what they said. Such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription medications, statins. When you think of cholesterol-lowering medications, you think of statins. And when you think of statins, all the stuff that goes through your head, all the side effects that they tell you, that they don't even list all of them. They just tell you these are the top, because if they tell you everything, you're just going to wonder, okay, when did you turn into someone who prescribes poison to me? No, because this is what some of these medications do, and we are taught to just weigh the risk and benefit. But what if there's something that you don't have to weigh a risk, that you just weigh the benefit? And this is it. The other thing that it does, this fiber, is that the perfect food for your gut microbiome is fiber. That's all your gut microbiome eats. So if you're feeding it with this variety of fibers, it's going to thrive. And the diseases that we know come from an imbalanced gut, whether it's chronic inflammation, autoimmune diseases, anxiety and depression, and the basic diseases like IBS, Crohn's disease that, they settle in the gut, skin diseases, eczema, all these things have something to do with your gut microbiome. So if you're feeding it the right food, then the good gut microbiome thrives. So how do we take this product? The tea, the Unimate, you can enjoy it any time of day. You can enjoy it at any temperature. Cold with ice, warm, room temperature, super hot, whichever you can tolerate, you can take it at that temperature. You want to mix it with water. When you order these products, they come with a bottle, and it is calibrated to show you how much water to put. Feel free to put more water. Some people like to super dilute it because maybe they find the taste a bit much, especially when you're starting. So you can super dilute it. You can, as long as you at least put more water than is required there. You want to take it while you're fasting. So when you wake up in the morning, we advise you to push your first meal of the day later so that you can take advantage of the time that you fasted overnight, and so that you have a longer period of not eating. So you take it in the morning, then you eat your first meal, and then you take another one in the afternoon so that you can curb those cravings, the ites that come in the afternoon, and you feel like you want to start grazing around. It helps you curb that, and you can wait for dinner. The balance. When do we take it? Now the balance, you have to take it as a pre-meal drink for you to work the best. Because as you heard, what it does is that it goes and forms this fiber matrix in your belly, and you want that to be followed by food so that it affects what happens to that food. So it's a pre-meal drink. You want to take it usually at a temperature that you can quickly chug down. So if you're not going to be able to check down fridge cold water, please don't put it in fridge cold water. Put it in slightly maybe room temperature water, or, a little bit of lukewarm water, a temperature that's comfortable enough for you to chug down quickly, because you want to mix this and drink it as fast as you can. It's the one thing that whenever I follow up with all my new customers, that's the thing. They're worried. It said it's a choking hazard. Well, yeah, if you leave it on the counter for 5 minutes, it's gonna thicken. You're not gonna be able to drink that. So no, you need to drink this usually like right away. Mix it and drink it right away. And as I said there, you want to take it in the morning when you wake up. You're already fasting, and then it's gonna promote fat burning. Now, some people will take 2 main meals and take a fiber with each meal, and that's an accepted protocol, and it works better for some people. Others will take a light lunch that has a lot of protein, a lot of fiber, a lot of good fat with barely any carbohydrates, and then they'll drink another tea in the afternoon, and maybe their largest meal of the day, maybe that's the meal they sit down with family and they eat. So they will take a balance. Now, if your largest meal of the day for you is lunch, then take your balance before lunch. So that's all you need to do. And when you buy this, you can always talk to the person that got you into it, and they can advise you on the best way to do this. Okay, these products have over 25 clinical studies, so there's science behind them. If you're here in the US, they're HSA and FSA qualified. As I said, they're nutraceuticals, no drugs in them. Currently in over 65 countries, they're patented and they're guaranteed. You really have nothing to lose. They're in the physician desk preference or physician digital reference, depending on whatever you're using now. If you take these products and you are using them the right way and you're tracking your usage and they don't give you the results you're looking for as promised, then you can get a 90-day money-back guarantee from the company. They've been around for years, and they say to this date, they have less than 1%. And anyway, they wouldn't be in business if they were refunding people, left, right, and center. So, and you can tell from everybody on here, no one's asking for a refund. Yeah, and I don't think we'll ever will. So what you want is that you want these products to keep you not up here where you have glucose spikes followed by insulin spikes. You want to stay here where you just have a little bump in your glucose and therefore a gentle rise in your insulin. And that's where fat burning happens, not up here where you're storing fat. And with that, I will invite Bertine, our other testimonial, to come and tell us about, you've heard from Bertine previously, but I want her to tell us more, not just about herself, but also about what she's noticed. She talked about being pregnant, but I want her to also mention what she's noticed with her child. And you will be interested in hearing this. So.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bertine Lundberg, and Dr. Esther, thank you for having me. I know it was a last minute. I'm always so excited to talk about this. I think I became bubbly because of this product, and I just talk with a big smile and everywhere I go, and I'm just so glad. So let me start. I started this product on my second trimester. I was a mess. We all know that when we're pregnant, the second trimester is usually when we take a break. It's usually when you start to relax, no more nausea, and you kind of enjoy the rest of pregnancy if possible. But mine was different. Second trimester was when the nausea and vomiting got worse. I could not keep anything down. Going to work, I usually start eating by the time I get to work as a nurse, because you don't know what you're going to get to when you get to work. So I always eat before I get to work. So during that time, by the time I get to work, I have to stop and get whatever I started eating out. That's how bad I was. And I would not be able to eat throughout the day. Can you imagine being pregnant and you're not eating? I got to the point I was worried about the baby. So the nausea was worse. The constipation, I've never had constipation in my life. So to the point where I finished the whole bottle of Miralax. Like I was taking it every single day. And when I empty the bottle, I realized that the problem was still there. So it's almost like I didn't even do anything about it. My legs were swelling already. The acid reflux was already there. I was so tired. It was not funny. I was so tired and I was so sick every day, every evening. I would just in the evening, I get so sick. So in the evening only I would be allowed only like 30 minutes to be up, just the time I can prep dinner for my family. And, while they're eating, I would not eat because I was afraid I was going to throw up. I was not hungry. I was feeling like I was so sick. I would just go lay down, try just to sleep. So I knew this product was good. I knew the product, and but I was still skeptical, like most people, before they start, they're like, oh my God, I don't know what it's gonna do. Is it safe? Is it this? I knew it was good because my husband had started taking it and it was helping his, gastric issues. So I started with a balance. That's what I was taking during my pregnancy, the balance. The first day I took it, the next day, I was a different person. As people, sometimes you hear these stories, you think, no, they just make, no, I was a different person. The next day, the energy was there. I was able to sit down at the table with my family and I was able to eat some dinner. So that's how I was like, whoa, this is awesome. So I was just now taking that at my balance every night, every day. And by the first to like the second week, all those symptoms were gone. So the rest of my pregnancy, I did not experience anymore. Nausea and vomiting, the acid reflux that most women, like we think, oh yeah, because the baby is having hair, so it's normal to have acid reflux. No, I had the best time ever. The constipation was gone, my legs were down, and the fatigue was completely gone. So I was until the last week. I worked until the week before I had a baby, and I was gonna have a C-section. Of course, throughout that time, my baby was fine. All that the doctor expected, they will say if you're above 35, they will say, well, they expect you to be going through blood pressure issue, the glucose issue. I was not worried anymore. My blood pressure was the best blood pressure ever. As a matter of fact, I was having some hypotension, like blood pressure would get a little bit lower in the morning than usual, where I have to like really pay more attention. So throughout the pregnancy was great. The baby was great. They couldn't find anything that was wrong. Although also my kids are like 6 years apart. So that was another fact. They were expecting maybe to be, they were expecting that I would be struggling with a lot because of that. And my body would be going through a lot. But unfortunately, they could not find anything. And I just knew what I was doing. I was just enjoying it. So even at work, a lot of people was like, wow, you look really good. I didn't really look like I was pregnant. If you look at me from the back, you have to be in front of me to know that I'm pregnant. So, and that's kind of how the inflammation was down throughout the rest of the pregnancy. So here we go. I have the baby, I had a C-section. Everything went great. The baby is great. I was in the hospital just 2 days after C-section because I was already up doing things. Had a baby on Friday, on Sunday I was already out, and my GYN was like, "Well, I wish all my patients were like you. Like they were expecting you to have more pain." I said, "I think this product really just the balance helped me a lot, even just with the inflammation at that point, and maybe it helped with a lot with my pain also because I didn't have a pain, the same kind of pain like I had with my first." So here we go at home, and I think this also helped with my breastfeeding because with my first, we were told you need to pump or breastfeed every so often on the clock, every 2 hours or every 3 hours, right? With my first, that's what I did to be able to produce. With this one, I did not. So I was not on no clock until now. I still breastfeed. He does eat whenever. I go to work in the morning and come back in the evening and he breastfeed. In the morning, sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, and I get going. So I was like, oh, this is really different. So I would think this is contributing to my, feeling my breast milk also. So, and the baby is he is good. Another thing I'm going to share, he's in daycare. He's been in daycare since April. Thank God. And I think this has contributed. He has not had any issue. He has not had any infection compared to his brother. By this time, we were to the doctor, the pediatrician, every week, every 2 weeks, fighting infection. So I think this has contributed to his overall health. And he's just the happiest baby you can have. And I really thank you. And myself, I've lost all my weight. I am at my goal, maybe 1 pound, to my goal. Uh, I've lost those are my feet, before and after. And this is kind of what I was struggling with before I got pregnant. So I was struggling with weight and without, I knew something was not right because, guys, I play tennis. I go to the gym and go play tennis. I play in the tennis team and I was so not losing weight. And I don't eat fast food. I did not eat fast food. I didn't know what was going on. So thank God this product has really worked. And that's me in April, postpartum. So lost all the baby beyond losing the baby weight. And that's me here in June, wearing the same pant, feeling good, looking good, just bubbly as I can be. And I really thank you. And I was not used to talk my shirt. Now I feel like every corner I need a picture, a whole picture. I don't need just a selfie, not just a pretty face. So I really thank you. I'm loving it.
Thank you so, so much, Bertine. I love that. When Bertine told me about her son and the fact that, he's in daycare, has been in daycare now for 3 months and has not had any of the issues that we know we associate with daycares. Kids get sick when they first get there. They have colds. They have all these things. It feels like, yeah, you're paying the daycare fees, but the child is home with you almost, all the time. No, that did not happen. And one thing I want to point out, when a child is born, where do they get their gut microbiome from? They get it from the mom. So they get populated, their gut gets populated by what is in the mother. So if the mother has good gut microbiome, guess what that baby is coming out with? Good gut microbiome. She's continuing to breastfeed, so this baby is keeping on getting exposed to the same good gut microbiome. So this child already is protected from a lot of issues simply because of that the mom during pregnancy had great gut microbiome. That's what the child got when they were born, and that's what they keep getting exposed to. Children don't get their adult complement gut microbiome until around age 3. And I'm sure with what Bertine knows now, she's going to make sure that this child keeps getting, good gut microbiome. If it means giving the child a little teaspoon or something of the fiber, that is something we're doing I have children too, and they take fiber every day because I know what it does to their gut microbiome. We're not doing this for losing weight. We're not doing this. I mean, we want the children to eat and grow, but the value of a good gut microbiome, and you get that thriving gut microbiome by just feeding it with the right foods, and that's fiber.
Yeah, I love this example because there was an actual study that actually tested rats or mice, and they transplanted some of the stool with that good bacteria in other mice, and those mice were healthier. They were losing weight. They were metabolically healthy. So imagine transferring that in pregnancy. That is amazing. That is amazing. But how about for my people who are like, well, I'm not pregnant. What am I going to do? We have this amazing fiber that all you have to do is mix it in some water. It's really that simple. So I love your story, Bertine. This was amazing. Amazing. I'm so thankful you got on here and shared your story with us.
Thank you. Dr. Tiffany, do you want to share just a few? I know we are 9 o'clock, but let's just show people a few people, not just the pregnant ones, but
Yes.
Yeah.
I have some for people who don't mind. Let me share some pictures. I had Bertine sitting here, but since we already saw her, we're going to move over to one of our colleagues' twin sister dealing with PCOS and pre-diabetes. You see the transformation. Weight loss is a nice side effect to this, but we're dealing with insulin resistance, which causes skin tags. I mean, this is our girlfriend who said she's the healthiest person ever, right? Her skin tags got better, which is a sign of insulin resistance improving. And it doesn't matter what age you are dealing with this. You know, this is a woman in her 70s who decided, okay, Claudia, I'm going to take back my health. Dealing with diabetes for 23 years. And after 7 months, able to get off of all her medications. Okay. Even with thyroid disease, somebody dealing with an autoimmune thyroid condition, when we treat the gut, because our autoimmune conditions, so many of those things, our immune system comes from the gut, our anxiety, depression from the gut, we start to see things like this, like my friend Crystal, able to get off of 13 of the 15 medications she was on in her 50s. Acne, eczema, we see that improve. Those are skin conditions. You think, oh, they aren't going to get better. Keith, somebody dealing with type 2 diabetes and awful diabetes ulcers that have been able to heal. He was able to come back to life. You know, I'm not saying that metaphorically, able to come back from coding, his heart stopping on the table, but not only that, losing weight and getting off of his insulin after about 3 days. After about 3 days. We see couples doing this, losing 100 pounds, reversing prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. We see, again, somebody older with blood pressure issues. This is Dr. Dieter's dad, another colleague of ours, A1C from 7.1 to 6.4. I can keep going. Ro, I think Ro was on the call for a minute. I don't even know if she's on here now. Again, somebody willing to take back control of her health and not do the starter meds, able to get that A1C down from 14 to 5.9. And a type 1 diabetic, so I'll probably stop here. Somebody who people think, oh, what does this have to do for that? Insulin resistance. They start to develop that as well. Able to get off of 80% of her insulin and no longer needs insulin before she eats. A type 1 diabetic doesn't make insulin. So they need that outside insulin. But she has been able to decrease that significantly and get her LDL down, her thyroid function improved. It is ridiculous the things we are seeing, you know, Dr. Esther, and that's why we're on this call. We see so many great things happening to so many people. Doesn't matter the walk of life, doesn't matter ethnicity, doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter if you're pregnant. Okay, we are seeing some phenomenal things happen, and that's why we do this every Wednesday.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Tiffany, and thank you so much to our guests, Suzanne and Bertine. Thank you so much to everybody else who's listening on this call, the people you invited. Invite more next time. You can hear this is good for everyone. The questions we keep. So one of the questions that many times you get asked is this good for me? I have this, is it going to cause side effects? In science and in research, there are people who are not included in research. Children, unless it is something to do specifically with children's diseases and they must use them. Pregnant women is the other group because they do not want to risk anything because you're dealing with two beings here, the mom and the baby. Pregnant women do not get included in anything for any research. But what are we seeing here? That this is a product that was safe for a pregnant woman, made her pregnancy even become better. Because guess what, as we said, everybody needs a good gut microbiome. Everybody needs the healthy gut. Everybody needs blood sugar control, pregnant or not. Everybody needs this. So if you're thinking, is this good for me? Well, if it was good for Bertine, I can tell you the fiber is good for you. The you know, the Unimate we can talk about depending on what your sensitivities are, but that's also good for almost everyone because it is food. It is food. And I like to liken this to coffee and tea. They all come as plants, but they are processed to a way that you can take them because none of us is getting tea leaves and boiling them, you know, as leaves from come from a tea and coffee growing country. You don't want to take them right off the, you know, right off the plant. Coffee beans, you've got to process them to the point where you get the powder, then you take. That's the same kind of processing that the yerba mate and the fibers have gone through to make it into something that is easy for you to take, something that you can take anywhere and everywhere you go, something you can put in your purse, something you can put in the glove box of your car, something you can put in your back pocket, so that wherever you go, you always are armed with your tea and your fiber. So, what's stopping you?
Yeah.
Yep. And what's stopping you from being on that list of the people who have turned their lives around, who have stories to tell, who no longer have to worry about the burden of disease, the burden of medications, who've got their lives back? I mean, be bubbly like Bertine, that's what I want, So that's why we're doing this. And we love doing this. We're here every Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday. So please come back and join us and bring some more people with you.
Yes, yes, yes. Awesome job, Dr. Esther. Thank you all for joining the call. Same link, same time, Wednesday next week. Hope to see you all there. Bring somebody else with you. Good night.